Right now on NBC 26 Live at 6, a financial advisor charged with stealing millions of dollars found dead in what's being called a suicide pact with her husband. The Sheboygan man sentenced today for injuring a Grand Chute police officer. And we go one-on-one with Nicole Wallace, what she says brought President Trump to victory in Wisconsin. Good evening, I'm Stacey Angabretson. The victims of an apparent suicide pact in Oshkosh now identified. Investigators say they discovered the bodies of 57-year-old Jean Walsh Josephson and 59-year-old Dewey Josephson in their home just after 8:40 this morning. Walsh Josephson had been battling several felony theft charges in court. We have live team coverage tonight. NBC 26's Raquel Lamel is at the Winnebago County Courthouse. But we begin with Billy Wagnes. He's live at the scene with the very latest. Billy?
Stacey, just this morning, investigators discovered both victims' bodies in a bedroom of their Utica Township home, each with a single gunshot shot to the head. Now, investigators say written evidence at the scene suggests this was planned. They also believe Dewey Josephson shot Jean Walsh Josephson first, then turned the gun on himself. But investigators aren't calling this a quote-unquote murder-suicide, mainly because they say evidence points to Jean helping facilitate these events.
It appears she was a participant that had helped plan that. I'm not sure. I really don't know, and that'll be along with the coroner's office, and I think those are the things we need to determine as well.
The family members of both victims have been notified. Both Dewey and Jean do have children from separate relationships, and of course the investigation is ongoing at this time. Reporting live in Oshkosh, Billy Wagnes, NBC 26.
Jean Walsh Josephson was on trial for 39 counts of theft. She was supposed to appear in court today for the start of week 2 of her jury trial, but never showed up, signaling something may be wrong. NBC 26's Raquel Lamel continues our live team coverage at the Winnebago County Courthouse. Raquel?
Well, that's right, Stacey. When Walsh Josephson didn't show up for her court appearance today, that is when those deputies went and checked on her home and discovered what had happened during that welfare check. Now, deputies are saying today that Walsh Josephson had been feeling extreme pressure from the first week of her jury trial. This was supposed to be the first day of week 2 of that trial. Now, according to the criminal complaint that was filed November of 2015, it shows more than $500,000 had been stolen from a Thrivent account. Walsh Josephson was working for Thrivent at the time and was facing 39 theft counts in Winnebago County Court. Now, we reached out to the Winnebago County District Attorney for reaction. The Assistant DA, Tracy Pater, did not want to go on camera out of respect for the family, but she said she feels bad for the victims' families, adding, "No one wants this." Now, we also reached out to Thrivent Financial for a comment, and they told us in a statement, "Our thoughts and prayers are with those affected by this tragic situation." Now, they say they had to cut ties with Josephson in the fall of 2015 after that theft came to light. Now, the Assistant DA does tell us that 37 of those 39 counts were felony charges, holding maximum sentences of 5 years in prison per charge, which means if she would have been convicted, she could have had to serve substantial prison time. Live in Oshkosh, keeping you connected, Raquel Lamel, NBC 26.
Thank you, Raquel. A man charged with stealing a Grand Chute police car and injuring an officer before leading law enforcement on a chase last summer will spend more than a decade behind bars. NBC 26's Marissa DiCandido is in the newsroom with more on today's sentencing.
Michael Lorenz was sentenced to 12.5 years in prison today for a crime spree last July that included a stolen cop car, an injured officer, another carjacking, and an officer-involved shooting. Lorenz was sentenced in Outagamie County Court today. He originally faced 22 charges, but pleaded no contest to 7 of those in January as part of a plea deal. Police say Lorenz stole a Grand Chute squad car in July, injuring a lieutenant while driving away from the scene. Officers shot and struck him as he drove away. Investigators say he then stole another car and led Brown County Sheriff's deputies on a chase. According to police, he admitted to using meth the night before.
I'd like to apologize to the officers that were involved. I'm sorry that I put you in the danger that I did. It should have never happened. I'm going to spend every day of my life regretting that I did that.
The Grand Chute police lieutenant injured that night told NBC 26 he had to retire early because of his injuries. Reporting in the newsroom, Marissa DiCandido, NBC 26.
A 56-year-old Menasha man charged today with disorderly conduct and operating a firearm while intoxicated after allegedly pointing a gun at his son. Police say Jeffrey Will and his son got into an argument over living arrangements on Sunday morning at their Grove Street home. No one was injured. Today, Will was released on bond. The judge ordered him to remain sober and have no contact with his son. His next court date is March 29th. 3 people behind bars tonight after Fox Crossing police find a stolen gun while responding to a suspicious car report. A Milwaukee man and 2 women being held in connection to that incident. Police began a canine search of their car after they determined 2 of the people used fake identities.
Anytime you find a weapon, obviously, inside of a vehicle hidden is a little bit of concern. But then on top of it, that it was stolen out of the city of Milwaukee really leads to some concern.
All 3 face charges of carrying a concealed weapon and possession of stolen property. Fire destroys a home in Bellevue. Firefighters entered the home trying to put out the blaze Saturday when the floor gave way, forcing them to fight the fire outside. It took them nearly 90 minutes to put it out due to the weather. The cause of that fire remains under investigation. Well, time now for your first forecast. Chief Meteorologist Cameron Moreland joins us. Cameron, we could see some rain tonight.
Stacey, rain is on the way for later on tonight, but right now it is quiet across northeast Wisconsin. However, if you look just off to the south and west across Iowa, rain showers are quickly developing. Those rain showers moving north as warm air moves north. 36 degrees right now in Green Bay, but we're looking at 45 in Madison. Initially this evening, we will cool off, lower 30s for most areas, but once the clouds start to roll in later on this evening into tonight, that temperature will start rising. Stacey?
We're following President Trump's first 100 days. The president addressed the National Governors Association meeting this morning. His remarks came in the state dining room of the White House ahead of the group's work session scheduled for the day. Last night, President Trump toasted the governors during a black-tie dinner, telling them repealing and replacing Obamacare is a priority. With President Trump now in office over a month, NBC political analyst Nicole Wallace is visiting Wisconsin and other swing states to ask lifelong Democratic voters why they voted Republican for the first time ever this election and what they hope the next 4 years will bring. I spoke with Wallace today about her In Trump They Trust series, which included a recent stop at a Sturgeon Bay dairy farm featured on the Today Show last week. Why did you want to focus on a farmer, Brian LaPlante, who you spoke with?
Well, if you've seen Brian LaPlante, he's absolutely darling, utterly brilliant. Did you vote for Obama?
Do I have to admit that?
He was so clear and so clear-eyed about his support for Donald Trump from the beginning. And it came down to wanting a businessman to run this country, to wanting a radical departure, and from feeling, frankly, completely cut off from today's Democratic Party.
What do voters who went Republican this time want Donald Trump to do as president? What are their expectations?
But they want to see him stop, throwing elbows and taking cheap shots. So for no voter is Donald Trump perfect, and no president ever is. They're pleased by his aggressive action on immigration, even though it's messy and even though a lot of people say it needs to be fine-tuned. They appreciate that he got to Washington and started doing what he said he was going to do. They like that he aggressively targets individual companies and asks them to keep their jobs in this country.
What is the one main thing that you've taken away from it? And talking to all of these people across the country?
Everybody wants the same things. Everybody wants economic security, they want homeland security, they want national security, and they want to believe that their children are going to have all the opportunities they had and more. And that people have never been more divided in how we achieve that.
Wallace visited 7 states for her special report. She plans to return to Wisconsin later to get a presidential progress report from LaPlante. Wallace appears on the Today Show tomorrow morning here on NBC 26. And tonight at 10, hear her thoughts on what we can expect tomorrow night when President Trump delivers his first address to a joint session of Congress. Well, lawmakers in Washington feeling pressure from Wisconsin legislators to delist the gray wolf as an endangered species. If delisted, farmers would be able to kill the animals if they threaten their livestock, something they say is needed ahead of the birthing season. Attempts to delist the animal have stalled in federal court. The Green Bay Water Utility says 4% of their customers have lead water pipes. This after finding nearly 1,400 homes in the city with lead pipes just last year. They say they plan to have all lead removed from city-owned lines by 2021. Well, despite several issues, the DNR calling this sturgeon season a success. Find out why. Plus, after a dance on the ice, these teddy bears are warming hearts. How they're helping local children cope. Coming up live at 6.
You're connected to NBC 26 News at 6 with Stacey Engebretson, Chief Meteorologist Cameron Moreland, and Sports Director Charlie Sakaitis. NBC 26